All right, welcome to the Security Cocktail Hour. I'm Joe Patty.
I'm Adam Roth.
Hey, Adam, how you doing today?
I'm incredible. Life is
Pat-
beautiful.
Wonderful. A great day in Staten Island, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's 90 degrees. The wind's just a little breezy. It's all good.
Yeah, there you go, in November.
November, yeah, wow.
Yeah, really. Well, we have a guest today, yet another fabulous and interesting guest. Why don't we welcome Monte Fabiani. Monte, how you doing?
I'm doing great today, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
No, thanks for joining us. And let's see, what do we know about Monte? Monte is a professional technologist for over 2 decades. He's led incident response and threat hunting teams, as well as built over a dozen SOCs for Fortune 500 clients. So now, so very impressive. Now our viewers know that I use another screen on the left because that's what I'm reading from. But they may not all know.
Not the ones listening. They totally have no idea.
That's right.
They do now, but now they do.
You know all our production secrets here.
Did you say three-card Monte?
What's that? Say again?
Three-card Monte?
Three-card. Yes. Or three-card Monte, which is the word for hill in Spanish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Really?
Okay.
No. I pull that out every time. Word for hill in Spanish.
I was in
Monte.
Times Square about 2 weeks ago and actually saw a guy. It wasn't a 3-card Monte game. He was running like the cups thing, and I'm like,
oh, that's still a thing.
The cup. I thought the cups got rid of them. I was like, are you kidding?
But who also comes up to play those? Like, where do those come from? Like,
it's all tourists. It's all the coolest.
But even I guess. But it's almost like it's bizarre, right? Because you think of that as almost like an old truism about New York City, right? You're gonna get hustled down there or something like that. You get a little 3-card Monte game. You can't win it. You know that.
And half the crowd is like his guys. It's the team. It's a team sport.
Yeah, it's a little bit of vaudeville, I guess, right? It's a little throw over vaudeville where it's a performance, and when you think about it, maybe you come from maybe it's just you're paying for entertainment.
I've Googled YouTube videos where dogs were able to pick where the thing was.
Yeah. Of course, they can smell the difference.
Yeah, horses can count too if you they can do math. But
yeah, I've seen a horse do calculus before. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that is good. All right, so Monte, as our guest, as always, the choice of drink has been yours. So what are we drinking today?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because we all have something different. Now, I have a 7 and 7. That's Seagram's 7 and 7 Up. Now, that's not something I've had for the last 20 years. I'll be honest. I had a sip of this, and I was like, is that what that tastes like? But it was actually, what I propose is that we drink what we started drinking when we were young and started drinking when you kind of have that immature drink choice. And this used to be mine. And, there was a couple of options for me. It could have been a whiskey and diet. It could have been a rum and Coke, those things you drink.
The rum and
but you don't care what things taste like at all. You don't know any better. Yeah. But the 7 and 7.
It's got Coke. I like Coke. Whatever.
It's what I drank at DEF CON 5 when I was 17 years old. And I emptied out half a bottle of 7 Up and poured a liter of Seagram's in it and used it as a cocktail because I could not buy drinks at the bar. But if you were, hanging out in the fringes of this conference, you can kind of drink out of a 7 Up bottle. And it was all right. So it gives me that throwback of that time in my life. And I don't know how I drank that much of this because this is not great. This is not
Well, I hate to tell you, but like if I saw a kid walking around with a big 7 Up bottle, I'd be like, dude, nobody drinks 7 Up. It's like you're obviously got something else in there.
But it was 1997. It was a different time, It was one of those things. I don't know if I was fooling anyone. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I was.
I drank Night Train when I was a kid.
Oh, Night Train. That's right. Or Mad Dog 2020.
The old MD.
Yeah.
Boone's Farm. You guys had Boone's Farm out east? It was like a wine cooler, but in a full wine that you twisted off for $2. And it was like a giant wine cooler. You could get in Fuzzy Navel, several other flavors, very sugary. It's very much like Mad Dog 2020, but in like an actual wine-looking bottle. And you'd have a little Boone's Farm down. Yeah, it was. It's the thing you just don't drink as an adult. It's just not the choice you normally make.
I don't know.
Yeah,
unless. So what have you got there, Adam? What's your choice from your, from your distant past?
I steal what's in the refrigerator. That's not mine. This is a Kentucky vanilla Barrel Cream Ale.
Wow.
That looks good. That looks really
So
good. See,
That's
that's what
very
you drink as an adult, though. That's one that you drink because it tastes good and you're an adult and you have the good flip. That's the great other end of the spectrum. But I think Joe had something from the beginning of that beer spectrum.
well. I got something here. What I got here, I got
That's
to open
it.
it up, and I have an opener because this is a class
Nice.
thing. I got Rolling Rock, which I went to grad school in Pittsburgh, and I did not come away with much from it besides a degree. However, I came with a fondness for Rolling Rock because
Old Latrobe. Yeah.
from Latrobe, old number 33.
Right.
And I can tell
Yep.
you, from having lived in Pittsburgh, Rolling Rock is cheap and it's a hell of a lot better than Iron City, put it that way. I don't even know if that's still around.
is it cheap
Yeah.
or inexpensive?
You're right. It's inexpensive. It's an excellent value. Although I don't remember what I paid for it now. I don't know. Maybe this is expensive now.
But what I think it's a great choice about it is it's actually still a decent beer now. You know what I mean?
It
Like it's one of those things
is,
that's
yeah.
nice and clean. Yeah, you're right. It's not. But as far as the kind of tasteless beer section, I like a nice Rolling Rock, nice and fresh.
I always liked it. You know, I don't know why. Just whatever. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I would still have one of those today. Like another 7 and 7. This is probably the last one you're gonna see me drink.
So I always wanted to open a coffee shop, but now that we're talking about drinks, we're all in cybersecurity, IT. Maybe Joe, you and I, don't tell Monte, we should open up a bar that focuses on just cybersecurity people. And then in the corner, we can have a little radio studio. And we can pick drinks specific
Oh,
to what the cybersecurity mass drinks. Because there's got to be, we have to take a poll. What do you drink when you're in cybersecurity? What do you drink when you know that there's an incident response and you just can't handle it? And
well,
we have
you guys would get to the
That's
bottom of that answer, right? You would answer that question for certain, and then you could have a whole like podcast sort of live cybersecurity environment. I don't know if you guys could. I mean, it's pretty specific. Don't get me wrong, but I'm in, man. I'll show up. I'll open and close your bar every day, guys. I'll be there. I'll hang out anytime you want.
You're gonna move to New York, so we can. That's
You
it.
know, come through, buddy.
The
I work remote.
studio will have a glass into the bar, but it'll be soundproof, so we can do our recordings, and people can throw things at us, and cheer us,
Oh, boo.
and applaud
Oh,
us.
that's even better than chicken wire. That's cool. So
I actually
want
don't.
you to-
I actually don't hate your idea. I don't hate the idea, particularly when as much streaming happens anymore. I feel like you could have different people broadcasting all day while you're during business hours, and not just you guys, but as well other personalities. Yeah, you can just have them get just all the way. It's part of the attraction, you see. But you're also doubling on the space that way, right? You're actually doubling on the square footage that way, making a studio as well as
So
the
this
bar
was supposed to be
section.
more of a cybersecurity thing, but I think we can talk a little bit about the idea. So we have a glass window behind the bar, but we have to figure out where to put the drinks, and maybe we can have like a 360 view, or I don't know.
They'll be underneath. They'll be underneath the bar in those grabbable areas anyway. And the thing is that you're going to have a lot of displays, right? You're going to have LCD, LCD, LCD. So any type of actual display point you would have up there either way, and you could see who's broadcasting up top in real time.
If anybody's listening right now and you want to put money into this, reach out to us. But go ahead, Joe.
We're pitching a whole bit right now. This is going to be
that's right. I'm
full
also
offers,
selling
yeah.
unlicensed security besides funding this bar. But actually, you know what? One of our friends suggested to us, actually, Christian, who is Chris Tech on Instagram and YouTube, who's a good friend of ours.
Yes.
He suggested that we do shows like from a bar, like rent one out or talk them into using it, but like before it opens, because no bar has a. I can't think of a bar with a studio built in.
No, you guys just open the bar, right? You guys open the bar, and then this becomes a commercial for your bar, as well as your main hobby,
go.
right? This
Well, I'll tell
drives
you this.
people to the bar as well. It's like a free commercial as well as, it's part of your career anyway, so that's fun.
Well, I'll tell you, this
www.
podcast ain't making any money. So if we got a bar, we got a much better
I
chance.
know, I've seen your numbers, guys. I know. But that's why we're here talking,
come
man.
on.
That's why we're here talking, buddy.
www.gofundme.com/security cocktail hour.
We're gonna work together. We're gonna make this happen. This is my pitch to, be a co-writer and co-producer. I'm like, hold on, guys, you gotta think this through. There's more to this.
Yeah, this is actually. Well,
So
this is-
on one
this is
side,
exciting.
we're going to have the podcast studio. On the other side, we're going to have a 5-person sock.
See that? Look at
Wow,
that.
that's pretty
And
good.
what does that create? You have your ear to the ground when you have a 5%. And the thing, you can even make the sock a not-for-profit sock. Whoa! That way, it can't win or lose money either way, but it can drive intelligence into everything else and credibility end to end.
Well, you know what we can
Delicious.
do? We can make it like a company town and exploit the workers. We're like, we got the guys working the sock. We get them all stressed out, and
It
then
does
at the
sound
end
like
of
a
their
coal
shift,
mining town,
they,
yeah.
they go to the bar and spend all their money. We get it
Well,
back.
that's selling your soul. That's selling your soul to the company store. But like, look,
It is
hi,
exactly
you
that, isn't
need
it?
security cocktail hours. Well, how can I?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit inebriated.
We did. We actually modeled an old mining town and created it into a cybersecurity space. Is what just happened.
There we go.
So yeah, it's
Well,
good
they
to
get
worse.
paid. They get paid 4 beers an hour.
An hour and 2 rations of food.
Yeah,
Two
but only
max.
pirate booty.
Exactly. You go. Just right out of the bag.
No. But yeah, so the bar, the sock has like a bar, and we have like the nuts that you would eat in a bar. And that's where they get to
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah. I'm in.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So, there's no way
This
to
is
lose here,
this
guys.
is a good idea.
What are we even doing wasting our time in cybersecurity? Like,
Exactly. It's going to a real business on a bar.
of a digital sweatshop.
But the
Yeah.
keyboards
So
have to be waterproof or liquid proof because people are going to be spilling beers on it all day long.
All day long. Yeah. There are listen, there's challenges, but we'll work through those parts.
everything's a problem to be solved. So
That's right.
So as we're
Yep.
talking about opening up a sock and integrating it with a bar for our audience, Monty, why don't you tell everyone exactly what a sock is and some of the stuff you've been doing with it, and then they'll understand why you might want a bar next
No,
to
fair
one.
enough. Yeah, no, like I've been in the security operations center for, geez, over the last decade, and before that I was just a humdrum IT guy for another decade or so. And what is a security operations center? Well, that's where you respond to cybersecurity threats. In our case, actually, it could actually be a physical security center, but that's not what I'm here for.
Oh,
It's
PISM.
sort of, so go ahead.
PISM, Physical Security Information Management. Joe loves that.
Exactly.
Well, we're talking about. Well, you're getting very advanced there. We're talking about cyber.
You guys may be physical guys. Some of you guys are physical guys. I'm a cyber guy, cybersecurity operations guy. My specialty is threat hunting and incident response overall, and I've been doing that for the last decade or so. But I'll tell you what, I've been client facing. I've been an individual contributor. I've been a leader, and I always say the same thing: is that the SOC's the best place to work. Like I know it sounds funny. There's other jobs in security, and maybe you're on site. I've been on site. Maybe you're at home. I've been at home. If there's any cooler place to work, it's the cybersecurity operations center. You walk in there, you see the big screen, you lift up the desk, and you know you're home. And it's one of those things I'm passionate about. I have been for a long time. I've built multiple Fortune 500 stocks, and some of those places there's something special when you walk into, and you know it right away. And it's just something that it's always hit me, man. Like I've worked a lot of places, done a lot of things, but I'm the guy who's there early at the sock. I'm there late at the sock. I'm the guy you can go, oh, is Marty there right now? He's there right now. He's hanging out, because
You
where else would I
know,
want to be? So that's
that's
what,
really interesting because you are a true believer. And this is part of the thing in security. It's like there are people who love that shit, who live for it, and
yeah,
there are people who, either are not geared for it or have just had enough. And I can tell you,
yeah,
I've had enough of that.
Well,
I
but
hire
yeah,
guys like you to run a sock
yeah.
for
but
me.
here's the
You know what
difference,
I mean?
Joe. But here's the
Agreed.
difference. Like when we were working at the same place, we had a third party sock. So the question is it really much different dealing with a third party sock when it's not your own, or is it different when you have your own dedicated sock for your
Yeah,
organization? Because the
great question.
troubles are different, right? And I mean, we had problems with that third party sock, even getting phone calls and
Yeah,
communications to us.
yeah,
So there's different
There's a
aspects of
story in
socks.
this.
I'm
yeah,
not going through that story. I don't want people chasing me, but But the point I'm
Don't
making,
don't at me, bro. Don't at me.
But no, we had a SOC operator claim he couldn't understand Adam's Brooklyn accent, and they got but they got
but
an earful over that one.
but I don't want to say what country
his
they were from.
glorious Brooklyn accent.
But they
Exactly.
couldn't.
Like, don't you
I
watch
couldn't.
TV? What are you talking about?
I
Yeah,
couldn't
exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't understand their accent, but they couldn't even originate a phone call into the U.S., and that's another story in itself. Each SOC has its own unique issues. If you're a global SOC and financial, it's a different type of thing than a global SOC that might be in manufacturing, and they all have their own issues and their own aspects of it. But when you have your own dedicated SOC for your own organization, you get to tailor it a little bit more to your own stuff, because now you have dedicated resources, as opposed to you have one person answering the phone for 4 different, 5, 10 different companies.
They're just throwing it over the fence, right? Like, I mean, that's always the kind of problem with it when you have a third party use a managed service, is they throw it over the fence at best.
And let me be obnoxious and arrogant, which is hard for me, but it wasn't me though. It wasn't me, but when we worked together, Joe and I, well, I should say when I worked for Joe, and he loves that. We built up that SOC. The queries, the use cases were done a lot by us to help build that organization. So you're investing in somebody else, where when you work for your own organization in a SOC, you're investing in yourself. Right. So use cases, we would write use cases for them, and I'm not going to say the guy because I don't want to give him credit, but he actually did some really good use cases when we worked together. He was really good at that. So you get my point. Every SOC has its own unique flavor in culture.
But you're making a great point there, is that, sometimes, and it's actually always, when you use a third party, you use a managed service, you must engage.
Yes.
And you must not only engage, sometimes you got to help them out. Sometimes you got to lead them to the water, you got to lead them to light. And it's just the way it is sometimes. And, I have the experience of being a managed service guy. I have the experience of being a build a SOC guy, bringing people from managed service to their own 24/7, chase the sun sort of model. And, the main thing is that you're never fully realized until you can do it yourself. You're never fully realized until you have your own operation that can trace the sun. That's it. It's not right for everybody. It's not.
It's not possible. It's not feasible for everybody. That's the problem.
Exactly. So in order to bridge that gap, you have to let that third party know that you're going to engage. Because the thing is they have every reason to be lazy. They have every reason to give you exactly the line of service, because it's a race to the bottom, right? There's a lot of low margins. There's a lot of things. So it's one of those things where they're trying to make money making the sausage this way. So they have every reason to make the sausage thin. But if you let them know that you're part of that, and you're going to engage with them, and you're going to help them out, man. We're good friends. We're partners. And we're going to lead you to light.
So Joe and I, and you and I have a unique relationship too, which I'm not going to go into, but
please don't. That sounds weird, but whatever.
Yeah, mind your business, Joe. So anyway, I'm kidding. So when Joe and I, when I work for Joe, when you have a SOC, right? You have a third-party SOC, or you have your own SOC. The question is, are you hosting the SIM? Are they hosting the SIM? Are you hosting the security endpoint detection response tools? Are they hosting it? Or is somebody else hosting it, but we all have access to the same portals? It gets to be very, very unique. And not one size fits all. Though, the big SOCs, like the big ones, they want everything. They want you to drink from them, eat from them. It's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't drown it. Think like that.
Well, let's back up a little bit, tell people what it's about. I mean, a SOC, if you have it, an outsourced SOC, if you're not running it yourself, it's like any other managed service in IT. You're basically outsourcing it. You're having someone else run it for you. And, one of the reasons, I said, like, it's not feasible for a lot of places to run it is just think about it. A SOC is 24/7. And if you don't have enough people, you need at least like 6 to 8 people at minimum to run a
just on the front line.
operation.
Just on the front line, like I always say, the right way to do it is like 12 on the front line and 26 total. Just the right way to do it, big money way. But yeah, you can do it the minimum like 6 on the front line ish, and then it's tough to do less than a dozen, tough. Right? Like top to bottom. So it's a lot of people, man. It's a lot of headcount.
That's it, and they're expensive people. They're hard to hire. There's a lot of turnover. So if you don't have an organization that can support that, that just the organization isn't big enough, outsource it. Also, some of the other things like all these expensive security systems that we talk about, it's like you not only need to buy them or now subscribe to them, pay for them every year, but you need to operate them too.
Yeah.
And a lot of places don't have the wherewithal to hire the people to do it, and it can be more cost effective and really just more realistic in a lot of cases to have to just give it to someone else who's that's their specialty. But you need that relationship. You need to make sure they're doing things the way you need it done. That's the trick.
Let me drop the bomb. Ready for the bomb?
Good. Yeah.
So if you belong to an organization where your clients or industry requires compliance, to get compliance for your SOC can be costly in the six figures or more, depending on. And when I say six figures or more, I mean you might need multiple compliances, multiple aspects of it. 100K for this, 150K for this, 200K for that, and you have to maintain it, and it gets to be crazy. Where Joe and I used to be, I could tell you an audit went on once a week, sometimes multiple a week, and that's 52 weeks a year. They really don't take off for audits. So if you have major clients and you're a world organization, they want, whoa, wait, you don't have that compliance? Or wait, can you show me evidence of this or evidence of that? So if you have that type of SOC, you might have to be responding to audits constantly.
Nonstop. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's all like those governance pieces, right? Like, and it's so, it seems insurmountable. From a guy like me who came from a very much technology company background into more financial institutions, et cetera, where there's more compliance. Man, there are stumbling blocks that it takes a high level of skill to overcome and still be successful. And those pieces are always tough. I always feel that way, and I feel like it's always been that way since the beginning of time. Where having to comply to things is rough because sometimes it's not in the same direction as security. Sometimes it's in the opposite direction of security, but you still got to go down there, touch that base, and get to where you need to go. So it's its own skill.
And if you're a SOC and you're using vendors and you're using tools, then you have to make sure they're in compliance.
Yeah.
And there are times that Joe and I laughed, like, what is this you're handing us? Oh, we did our own audit ourselves and we scanned it, and this is the results. I'm like, that doesn't.
Here's our song.
Yeah, like, oh, is that? I don't want to be disrespectful, but I can give you a coloring book and some crayons, and that would probably match what you just gave me. So I've seen that. I'm like, guys, I understand. I respect you're a small company, but I don't know that we can use you because you don't maintain the level of diligence. You don't have, compensating controls in place. You don't have multiple egress points for your data, and you don't have failover, and you don't have backups that we need, and you don't have an SLA that matches. 3 nines or 2 nines is not going to do it, maybe.
Yeah. Your operational maturity is hurting me emotionally. Those things. They told me when I was consulting, it's like, hey, the skill is telling them their baby's ugly and have them still like you. I'm not sure if I'm good at that even now, but I think you understand it better than I do. It's one of those pieces that's rough. It's like, hey, here it is. So, yeah.
It's funny. Like there were times when Joe said, Adam, we need a knack to do this. I'm like, wow, Joe. I mean, that's going to require some work, or we need microsegmentation to maybe, and I'm joking, this is not a real story.
This is a real story, but
we still have Windows 95 machines, and we have to only allow source to destination for,
Yeah, the story is actually we still have Server 2003 R2 machines.
Yeah, I know.
Holy crap. Yeah, the real story is, I remember that error. There's a weird error where 2003 R2 wouldn't leave. and it was like, okay, we have to make them leave, or else we're
Because
all,
companies have proprietary software written on those
software.
machines.
always there's
It's
always
always gonna happen. Well, it is interesting, and that's something about security that's really important. Is that we talk about all the tools and all the cool stuff and everything, and yes, we like to buy these new things. We like to look at them and get them and all that, but a lot of the really most of the real work in security, and really most of the challenge is not in buying this stuff and getting this stuff, or even in setting it up. It's maintaining it. It's operating it, and the SOC in particular is the thing where there's got to be someone looking at it all the time, responding to the stuff that comes in, tuning the system, knowing what they're looking at. That's what's so challenging.
And I'll tell you what, you made that point before, and it reminded me. It's one of the things I used to, for a very short time as a sales engineer. And I used to tell people, like, hey, I don't know if you can operate this. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't make you popular with the people you're selling for. But
I can see why you were not a sales engineer for
very long. It's one of those things where I would challenge you. It's like, you sure you can operate this? Like, you sure you got the guys? And moreover, are you sure they're not going to come consult for this bar I work for later for this exact thing?
Oh, that
bar's
more than
you're
great.
paying them?
I can't wait to open it.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, are you sure they're not going to come consult for me? Because, like, we're hiring people for this exact skill set right now. Because it's really hard to find this exact skill set right now. So when they leave you, how are you going to operate this? Like, you're going to have to hire consultants from us to operate this piece, like, at a ridiculous price compared to what you're paying right now. So maybe you should get the more operable piece of software that maybe you can more easily replace the people who are going to leave you for. And that's one of those things, it's not a popular thing to say, but it's an important thing to think about when you're actually choosing tooling.
So this bar is going to be really big. This bar is going to be big. Not only is there going to be a SOC in there, and maybe a knock, a SOC, a knock, and then maybe we're going to have also the radio studio or the podcast. We're going to have meeting rooms where we bring clients in there and bring in beers and alcohol and bar nuts and everything, and we can talk about some of these things that we're going to sell to clients.
Yeah, no, I mean, whoa.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we need a name. All I know, it has to end in like tech or something, or sound something very technical. Yeah. And then we have a bar. We're ready to go. Yeah. We're almost there.
We should put an X in it too. We got to get an X in there.
There has to be an expensive Scrabble letter in it. Like there has to be an S, a B, and a Z. Like whatever is as high, like Q, something really expensive in Scrabble.
Wait, what's your email address? What's your email address again? Is it feedback@securitycocktailhour.com?
Yes, that's our email address, feedback@securitycocktailhour.com.
For the 14 people that are listening to us, email us at feedback@securitycocktailhour.com what the name of the bar should be. And
we need a name.
What alcohol we should carry in the bar when we open it.
Yes.
Well, we will carry everything, I guess. I mean,
but you need like an absinthe still.
Oh my god!
Oh jeez.
So bad.
That is the only guest liquor request I have turned down. Is I'm not drinking absinthe.
I remember you guys told me that. It's one of those things. And I remember I told you guys a story I'm a whole back on about absinthe and an old DEF CON. That said, it's one of those things. It's a very classic drink of the computer hacker. Even though, who the hell drinks that stuff? It's terrible.
Just watch Clockwork Orange.
I know.
It's got a lot of baggage.
I feel like that's where it really came from, really. Even though it's milk, but it's that whole sort of thing where it's a ritual.
They did it in that other movie. It was Vacation, where not Chevy Chase's Vacation. The other one, European Vacation. It was.
Oh, it was Euro Trip, right?
Euro Trip.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And then it was like a fairy flying when they were doing.
That's right. And it may have been Kylie Minogue as the fairy, or something, but not really. No, that was actually in maybe that was in Moulin Rouge. Something similar like that, but I vaguely remember what you're talking about. If I had a memory, my middle-aged memory was better. I vaguely remember that. That sounds right.
My old age memory.
My old age, middle guy, a memory. But all right, now's late enough to show where I can start picking on Adam. Beard.
Feel free at any time.
Beard. If you bald, yes, but then you have to go beard as a brand, right? It makes you look like a smart professor or something like that.
So you want me to look like Chris Roberts?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you would actually kind of look like, God, you would like, but yes, exactly. And then it's beard. And then perhaps big glasses,
Look,
not
listen,
regular, look at that, like big, like carry, like
well,
big
you,
brand
like the Uncle
glasses.
Junior glasses.
Because
exactly.
you're the funny guy, right? Joe's the straight guy. You're the funny guy, so you have to have a gimmick, you know?
Oh,
Big
dude.
glasses, full beard. Just an idea. Just an idea.
I told you, you look like Logic from Homicide, Eminem, when they had that thing. Remember I told you that?
You did tell me that. I
Yeah,
don't remember.
Homicide.
Homicide.
But what I can do is, I'm sure Chris is going to end up seeing this. I'm not wearing a kilt.
You're
I'm
not
not changing my beard to blue.
Or
And
it could just be a regular colored beard. Big, you know, like I said, when you're bald, you don't have as much brand. I know that sounds funny. So you need either a beard or weird glasses when you're bald. I don't know why. You just do.
We need an image consultant. That's what we
Yeah,
need.
that's.
We got
so
to
any image consultants, email
But you're the
us
funny
at
one, too,
feedback
right?
at securitycocktailhour.com.
any image consultants willing to work
There's the
for free.
Abbott and the
Please
Costello,
contact us.
right? There's the funny guy and the straight guy. The Abbott and Costello. You're the funny guy. You got to have the gimmick. He already has all the
speaking
good
of
stuff in the
that-
background where he looks like he's a serious guy. And, you know, he's already doing his bit. You're crushing it,
Monty,
Joe.
Day and I had to clean off those shelves of all the junk when we went to video. I had to clean this room when Adam said we got to do video. I'm like, oh,
You guys have no idea what's happening on this side of my office. You have no idea. I turned my desk so that you guys would have no idea what. Jeez, you have no idea.
So Monty,
But
what
hey.
I want to do is, you're talking about comedy. I'm thinking in January of doing like a open mic at a comedy place.
I'm telling you, man. You could get your little five, you know, your type. If you ever have a Brooklyn accent, which is +5 to comedy, everyone knows that, you know.
We could do an open mic night
that's right.
at our bar.
Exactly. Well, you absolutely would do it over my thing at your bar. Yeah. You'd stream that too, and people would watch it and stream it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you keep end-to-ending it, and then you can, like I said, there's a lot
But
of
where are
ways
we
to
going
make
to find
this
a bar with 100,000 square feet?
work. Staten Island, buddy. You know it's in Staten. That's the only place you can be, Staten Island.
starting with that. No, it's
Like,
got
let's say-
to be in Manhattan though, because that's where all the security people are. At least around here. Who's in Staten Island?
You know, here in
That's
Denver,
what
we have
costs a lot.
nothing but open spaces and a large hub airport with a train into the city. What? Just something to think about. Denver, Colorado.
Really, Denver. I've never been to Denver. Don't you like choke out there the first week you're there? Or something.
You do. Yeah, you do. And then all of a sudden your cardio is good when you go to like the coast again. You're like, man, I can just jog up a hill.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you
it's
go.
great.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's not
We're
bad.
gonna wait. Are we putting also a fitness center and boxing ring in the gym too? I mean, in the bar.
Well, I know you're a boxer, Adam. So you know we can
Oh
do
my
that.
God, the video's
Adam.
coming out soon.
Adam, we got to
Oh,
start
yeah?
off with a little bar and a little studio on the side. You're like ready to open up a mall at this point. With everything, we're gonna have like a hairdresser in there, like
No, that's not that
gift
bad of an
shop.
idea. Like I think that's one of the things when we reopen commercial space, right? As commercial space is inexpensive right now, we're going to find multi-purposes for it to monetize per square foot better.
We're gonna have to open a bar the size of the American Dream Mall in New Jersey.
There might be a lot of space free in
really
there
big.
soon, from
Yeah.
what I hear.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, like you've been to the mall last year? Let's say I haven't been to
Yeah,
the mall
they
at
get-
all.
I heard stories where they're converting malls into like condominiums now. The stores are becoming
Exactly.
condominiums.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do with all that space, man? Like, you know, like, hey, we know where we all order everything from. It's the same, and it's the boss of all of us, man. You know, they're out there in Seattle, and we order our stuff from them. And now malls are dead. It's just what happened. I don't know.
Brick and mortar's gone. He's saying.
I don't know if it's completely gone, but man, it used
Toys
to.
R Us is reopening up again. Toys R Us
Is
is
it?
opening up.
Look at my hat. Like, well, see, but this is my again, born in 1980 nostalgia moment. Like what? You know, Jeffrey Giraffe's back. Of course, I'm going to go to that. I'm going to spend a bunch of money on it.
Yeah.
Buy my kid a million things there. Yeah, of course.
I always
That
wanted to
said-
be one of those characters that walked around like one of those stores.
You wanted to
remember
wear
that
the suit and do that.
with the big
I've done it
giraffe
once.
head.
I got reprimanded. I did it for college, and it was family day, and I was wearing it. It was 90-something degrees during the summer, and I took my head off, and I got pulled aside. He goes, "You can't do that. You're scaring the kids."
Well, Adam, I'll tell you what. If we open a bar, we can get a giant like martini suit or something, and you can stand outside and pull people in with that.
Oh,
The
wait,
big
wait,
sign.
wait. So we're also going to have another area of the bar that's going to sell our security cocktail hour shirts and swag.
I mean, that's the other thing I was thinking, like a hat, right? But you'd have a security cocktail fitted hat, and then you would also sell the security cocktail hat on the site. Because, like, you know, a hat also. Look at
So
that.
we
I
do
have
have
a hat.
shirts. We do have shirts. I wore it We did a 3-round boxing with my friend Sal, which is also the owner of my gym. And
That's
I
awesome.
never realized, number one, how bad I box. Number two, how fat I look. And number three, how I got my ass
It's
kicked.
tough. It's tough to be on camera, man. You just look
I give you
heavier.
credit,
It's tough. Yeah,
please. When you
it's tough.
see this, you will be mightily impressed that he got in there
Yeah.
with this.
How long have you been boxing?
A little over 10 years. I've been doing
Oh,
martial arts
okay.
probably last 40,
Yeah. Oh,
on and
okay.
off in my
Oh, okay.
life.
Yeah.
I kickbox, I box, I wrestle a little bit. But
Right on.
Sal, which is a great friend of mine, he's 24, 20, maybe in the late 20s, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he got in there and he was like showing skills. And I'm
Well,
like,
yeah.
I'm
Of
sitting
course.
there
It's an
pouring it.
athletic. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked pretty.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
looked ugly.
That's okay.
You did.
It's okay to look ugly as long as you got the Philly up. Like I said, it's like show
Yeah.
up.
Nobody knows if you're any good at
Yeah.
boxing or not. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm very mediocre in every martial art, but I love it. I spent time down at Brazilian top team in Orange County when I lived in Southern California, and I always tell people the same thing. You don't got to be good. Just get in there, man. Get in there. You want to have some fun. You want to. It's a sport and it's a good time. It's a workout. And you get your ass kicked, yeah, a little bit.
Well, the
That's
point
all right.
I'm making is when I usually train with them and we spar, I use a lot of my weight and my power. There I was
Yeah.
trying to use skill, and I realized, oh shit, I don't have any skill.
God.
Well, it's one of those things too. Where I tell people like, hey, you just got to be better than the other guy. And sometimes that guy's never boxed in his life. You're much
Well,
better than someone's never
I,
boxed
I,
one day in their life. You'll
I love
smash
that
that.
scenario. Like somebody says, like they're talking about the tiger chasing him. I don't have to be faster than a tiger. I just have to be faster than you.
That's right.
Right. Hey, that applies to security too. You don't want to be that easy target, that target of opportunity.
Yeah.
That's right. Just be good enough deterrent.
That's right.
My locks don't have to be incredible. They just have to be enough that you go to the other house.
Exactly. Let them check somebody else's car door. Mine's not going to be unlocked, right? Hey, we're going to keep checking for open car doors, and there's those scenarios where, hey, here's an open proxy. Hey, it's not going to be on my network. It's going to be on somebody else, right? There's going to be those other moments where you were the one who ran slower than the bear, and it wasn't me who got eaten. And that's exactly right.
Every once in a while, I like to upset Joe. We'll be in a meeting, and Joe will be like, blah, 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 blah. I go, Joe, you realize I always operate under the fact that somebody's on our network. He goes, stop that, Adam, stop it. I go, yeah, Joe, everybody has a threat actor on there. We just haven't found him yet. Stop that. I might say he didn't agree necessarily, but no one wants to hear that.
No, I do agree, but when I'm in charge of the security of this place, I don't need you reminding me of it constantly. I'm like, I got enough agito
I
already.
know.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
That's what he goes. Joe, there's someone on the network. We just haven't found it. I'm like, Adam, can I just eat lunch for Christ's sake?
I would literally do that. I would he would be eating lunch. I go, Joe, can I talk to you a second? He goes, what's wrong? I go, you ever think about the fact that somebody might be on our network? He goes, Adam, get out. Close my door.
You turn around. Out you go. He's like, you stay up at night? Of course I stay up at night. Of course. And I live the same way, man. That's what I believe. Like, hey, no, they're just hanging out there. They're waiting for their time. There's an APT just sitting there, sleeping, hanging out, taking naps in our network. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But if you live that way, you're always looking for them. And I think that's part of it. Go ahead.
I'm APT 106. I'm Cozy Unicorn.
There you go. You're Cozy Unicorn. 106. I would think of you as a fancy unicorn. Like an APT 192. There you go.
Oh, wow. That is shocking for the first round. Boy. Did you say that early? I don't know.
Someone asked me if, hey, do you think people from other countries in cybersecurity call our APTs eagles? I was like, absolutely. Like we call them bears, pandas. I was like, we're of course eagles. Of course.
Yes, yeah. Although they might have something less flattering than it.
I know.
I don't know.
So
yeah, I would say I heard a Swiss guy, a Swiss threat hunter, actually refer to an American APT as an eagle once. I've only heard it once, and I was like, I know what you're talking about immediately, and good for you. Like right on.
So let me ask you this, Monty. You've done red team, you've done blue team, with purple team, right? So
Sure. Yeah.
Is it wrong for the blue team to become the red team?
No. But okay, it just never really happened because here's the thing. There's so many red team spots, there's so many blue team spots, and we know there's a lot more blue team spots than red team spots. I think we can agree on that.
And so everyone knows that the red team is the attacker, the blue team are the defenders. That's the way things work.
I was
So
doing a purple
Joe's the foil for the
exercise,
show. Yeah.
I got to
and
make
I
sure we
was
have
on
the
the blue
definition.
team, and I got reprimanded for being on the blue team because the red team started earlier than they were supposed to. And, you know, I was surprised. These guys are freaking top notch. But I
Yeah.
use a service account as one of the tools. And I went on one of the threat actors' computers. And I took the hashes and I kind of swapped them.
You just kind of ruined the whole exercise by coming across the line and be like, "Ah, I got it." I went, yeah. All right. Well, hey, listen, I would brag about it too. I wouldn't stop either. And good for you on that flex. Way to ruin the exercise. I'm ready to reprimand you now.
Well, that's it. That's what you got reprimanded for because I'm like, Adam, by the way,
Oh,
these guys were preparing the exercise that I paid them a lot to do. Don't ruin it before we get started. There's a
And
point.
then
Adam
they
just,
didn't
Adam just
realize.
stuffs the ball down their throat. Like,
Exactly.
how you like me now? Like you're over there all the way.
Then they didn't realize. Then they didn't realize. They didn't realize. Which one actually did it, and they went after somebody else in the organization, and they thought it was me. And I really started antagonizing them. The first meeting we had, I don't want to say what unit or what they used to be doing,
What
but I
you
made shirts. I antagonized them. And then the next year, they came on with their own shirts that were talking
Nice.
shit about us.
Shirt
Yeah.
troll.
So I used to,
That was
Very
fun.
nice.
That was
I
Shirt
used
trolls.
to, I used to antagonize them. Then the funniest part was they were in their New York office. They're from outside the country.
Oh, this is good.
And I got somebody into their refrigerator and behind two locked doors, two card access doors, and put a note in the refrigerator. And they're like, we're ready to start. I go, wait. I have a note for you. They go, where's the note? I go, it's in your refrigerator. They go,
Turn
no
around.
way there's a note in our refrigerator.
That was good. That
They
one
go,
was a
no
good one.
way there's a note in our refrigerator.
Right. Like,
I go,
there's no
yes,
right
there
behind you.
is. So they go in the refrigerator, goes, all right, Adam, you're scaring me. How did you get the note in the refrigerator? I go, can't talk about it. And then, and we spoke about the tool. But I also use a tool on one of the exercises to take screenshots of everything they were doing. And they were like, they didn't even realize that this was doing it because it was acting on behalf of a service account that was normal to them. And I was like, why are you doing this? He goes, Adam, how you knowing what we're doing? I go, you should know that.
Yeah, but we've talked about this
Yeah,
before.
big
You were
flexer.
also cheating because you were using legitimate access.
But that's part of it. That's part of
Kobayashi
it.
Maru.
Stuff,
Kobayashi Maru scenario. Just like one of my, excuse my language, scumbag colleagues who was antagonizing me using tools during COVID to kick me off conferences, and he goes, ha 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 ha, you can't get me. I logged into the EDR, and I stopped every single one of their services when they were home. Their machine crashed. Took them 45 minutes to bring it back up.
I can't tell you when Adam works for you how many beers you owe people for stuff you've got to talk about.
But hey, listen, man. That's why you're the flavor guy, Adam, man. Like you're a natural troll. That's important here in the cybersecurity universe. That's how you get respect. Every so often, you have to pull your troll out, start logging down people's endpoints. And just hey, who knows what's happening? I don't know. Just tell them. I don't know. They'll be like, dude, are you? It's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. It's part of what makes it fun, right? It's sort of leveraging. I'll tell you this old story. And if you guys remember, back in the day, there used to be LAN parties. Do you guys remember LAN parties where you would bring over your actual tower computer to your friend's house and then play some sort of game, like say Warcraft 2, for example?
Yeah.
That's a little after our time, but anyway.
No, it's
I've
sort of
heard
between.
about
Well,
these
all right,
things.
into StarCraft, etc. In the mid to late '90s, you would come over and you'd play games together. And one of the ways a friend of mine trolled another friend of mine was when he got up to go to the bathroom between games, is he copied his Windows directory within his Windows directory over and over and over again, and rebooted his machine. And you can imagine what that's going to do to like a Windows 98 box. It's not going to boot back up
So
again, right? Doesn't it?
in 2000, 2001, 2002, when I used to work for another organization,
We're waiting for
I'm
your
waiting
troll
for the
story.
story. Come on, spit it
Yeah.
out.
Oh, sorry. In 2001, 2002, 2003, what I used to do is I used to open up the cabinets on the HP machines and disconnect the cables and put it back.
Oh, that's evil.
That's a mean, it's a
That's
mean thing to
vandalism,
do.
man.
Yeah.
That's
It's just
harsh.
like unplug like the pro curve switches, just replug. Like, what's wrong with you? What are you, a terrorist? Are you a terrorist? What's wrong with
And then you find out something like someone's got the ports locked down to like Macs and stuff, and you go, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that," because just for those who don't know, that would totally break everything. You wouldn't
you?
expect.
I was meaning to just be a hilarious troll, and now we're screwed. We're here all night, aren't we? Like, yeah.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
screwed up.
That's that's how you make friends in IT
That,
doing stuff like that.
yeah, I remember the data center days where it's like, oh no, that was the wrong thing. Oh no, oh no, we're going to be here a while. I unplugged the wrong thing, guys. I'm sorry. And then, yeah, next thing you know,
Oh, I did that too.
you live in a data center for the next, 11 hours or so. It's like,
I was
okay, when
doing
you
an
get lunch.
exercise once, and with the purple team exercise, and I saw one of the threat actors coming from an IP, and I didn't realize what they were doing, and I end up shutting down the COO's personal access point outside his office.
It'd be like that sometimes. That happens. No, you crush availability for the C-suite. No biggie. You learn from your, and then you go
Well,
on.
well, well. Here's the thing. So that's the technical side of it. The management side of it is I just say, okay. Well, I happen to know he's been complaining for months that his access point is weak. So we'll just let it go. We'll see if no one says. Might just fix it. Maybe he'll just chalk it up to something else.
Just let it happen. That's right. So, like, how did you guys decide? Because, I said I've been a short time for the security cocktail hour. How did you guys decide we're going to do the security cocktail hour? That's the question I have that I was going to ask you. How did you guys decide this was all going to happen?
Okay. Well, I'll take that one. I
Nice.
will say this was since you asked, this was originally my idea to do a. Well, I'll give you the whole genesis of it. I started watching this stuff on YouTube, and they're like how to make faceless videos easy with AI and all. And so I tried some of them with little security tips, and God, they were awful. Oh, it was miserable. And then I said, okay, let me try my own voice and voice over it. And I did that, and it was slightly less terrible. I said, wait a minute, why don't I do a podcast? And I'm like, okay, I'll do a podcast. But I didn't want to do it myself.
All right.
And also, I said, I need someone else, but I need someone else who is not a clone of me. And like you were saying, I need a foil. I need someone else. I
Yeah.
said,
That's right.
who's the best, most entertaining talker I know? He wasn't available, but then I told him, no,
That's the bit. There you
just
go.
kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, I said, Adam would be great for this. So,
Yeah. He is.
and then from there, we kind of did it, came up with the
Yeah.
whole concept. It's evolved if you listen to some of the early shows too.
No, I noticed that. Like, so, yeah, it's growing a little bit, and like I said, you guys are doing new stuff on this round. But I found it interesting, top to bottom, because you find people and like, oh, maybe we're gonna do this podcast, maybe they don't. Like, what makes you actually take the plunge for that moment? And you got great guests on the show. Like, when you guys reached out to me, I felt great because of your guest roster. What a treat that I can be, like I said, listed along those names. And then
We're glad to
and
have you.
it's one of those things where it's like, hey, how do you do this? Let me look behind the curtain with you guys, because in truth, I find it interesting as well. Because I think for me, a big part of cybersecurity is the culture. It is a lot of things we lost during pandemic, et cetera, where we didn't get to see each other, we didn't get to hang out, we didn't get to grab a beer like we used to all the time. And as a longtime conference guy, as a long guy who was going to conferences when he was a teenager, way before I was a professional. Um, it was one of those things I felt like I missed because it's actually where I felt like my skill set grew the most. Because when you kind of talk that big picture amongst colleagues, you kind of understand, and you talk big picture among people who are more senior to you, et cetera, and you kind of like iron sharpens iron with them. It makes all the difference in your career. And I always kind of like, I've talked to multiple colleges, and I always suggest like, hey, come out to a conference, come talk to people, come have a beer with some of the guys that you just heard talk on stage. They might be at the bar right next door, wherever it is at that conference. Come talk to them because they would love to share with you. And I feel like it's one of those spaces that was missed, and this is kind of the thing where it's like, oh, we needed this sort of podcast, you know, to kind of bring that back together.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the vibe we were trying to get. We can talk about security all day and realize we have our best conversations about security at the bar.
Yeah.
And I also have to say that, my thing, I would do it like this all the time, just be drinking and talking. But all the innovative stuff we've done, like video and doing the boxing and the, unboxing videos we've done, those are all Adam's ideas. Adam, says that we got to do something else. Let's do some stuff. And I hate to admit it, but they're the videos that do the best.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, you have to be novel. Like, novelty is always a thing that's going to bring people in into your core product, right? Like everything else that kind of brings you into this juicy center. But moreover, it's, those little charismatic moments, right? I think of it as very charismatic videos. You see this guy out there boxing, going out there. Of course, I'm going to watch that video. Let's go. Let's see what Adam does out there with a freaking 28-year-old actual professional boxer. A guy is just gonna smoke monster you. It's just gonna, you couldn't even touch him if you wanted to, and you were an actual athletic young person like that. It's like I've been in those situations. Like, can I touch this kid at all? No, I sure can't. And those are the fun ones to watch, and they're very authentic. You know what I mean? They're those things that people really latch onto because it's you being real. It's you living life, and you being yourself. And that's one of the things. When I met you, Adam, I was like, I'm gonna kick it with that guy, Adam, someday. He's an all right dude. Like he's one of those cats. And it's your authenticity that really brings it out. Brings that flavor out. But I think you guys made the right choice. I think you are the Abbott and Costello perfect little crew, and now you're just ironing out the little details that make it a real special podcast. And that's what catches people. It's those authentic moments.
Wow.
And I think you guys get it overall.
Oh, thanks. I feel like I think I'm going to call this the Howard Stern episode or something. It's like this is turning into a show where the show is about the show.
It's the most meta.
Right. This is meta. This is something new for us.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. Monte Fabiani goes meta. There we go.
Monte, you want to be our producer?
Executive assistant producer at best.
We can do the Jerry Seinfeld thing too, where we can do an episode totally about nothing.
What's it about? What's the show about? It's the big picture of the show, right? The big picture of the show is about nothing. What it's about? It's just a guy living his life, man.
Well, that's very. What is that? Like Buddhist or something? Ultimately, the show is not a show at all. It's just not about anything. It's just what it is. I don't know.
Because it's relatable because of that, So those are the things that makes those little differences. But like I said, this is one of those things where I'm going to take credit for how this gets more views, than every other previous show. But actually, it was already happening. You can see that you're picking up those views and those sort of things. So it's one of those things where I'm going to absolutely be like, and then you can see right here where Security Cocktail Hour really blew up. This guy really, and don't get me wrong, I'm putting it on the email list I'm a part of. I'm putting it out. I think my family, and they're half of them are South Americans, so they're definitely going to be in on this because they have to. It's great. And
they have to.
Yeah. I'll ask them if they watched it and guilt them, etc. So
give
you
tests,
definitely
give them written tests.
Exactly. I have to send them out, and then that's what decides what's happening with Christmas for you specifically. But it's one of those things where I think you guys are doing good work. It's great conceptually, and you guys have the right personalities for the position, so you got the right people on the bus. But I'm one of those guys who like to analyze things because analysis is my passion.
No, well, thanks. And you know what? If you get our traffic driven higher and this becomes our biggest episode, I have absolutely no problem giving you credit for it and have you back on again whenever you like.
Thank you. The Monte Fabiani #2 episode, our first return.
That's right. We have not had a return guest yet. That
wait.
That distinction is waiting.
How's it work? The Sith returns. How's that work?
Return of the Sith. Now look, here I am in all black, waiting to. There's a force choke going. It's actually
Monty,
I'll end with a really good.
Your father.
You could. No, I don't think you're. But you could be. You could be. Who knows? It could be. So one time, I'll kind of because I know we're towards the top of the hour here. I was working as a DEF CON goon, and it's one of those things where the crowd needed to go this way, and I was using the force to make them go this way, and all the way everyone was obeying because I was like,
Are you sure
And
there
it
wasn't
was
like a bigger guy behind you telling him where to
no,
go to?
it was
Or what?
definitely me. And I was just like, and then this kid came out of nowhere all, and I was like, it was the best moment of DEF CON history where this little DEF CON kid came and force choked me, and I had to play along. I was like, oh no, I've been set out by this kid. And yeah, sweetheart, cute kid, took a picture with him. Um, but it's one of those things where everyone there knows when the force is enacted and responds accordingly. You're like, that's right. The force is driving you this way, guys. The force is driving you this way. Understood.
You took a picture with him?
No, yeah, I did. I wish I knew the kids because I wish I hadn't seen the picture. But I was like, his parent was there with, when DEF CON kids first started coming, they were adorable. And they came out, I was like, had my goon shirt on, the red shirt on. Like, yeah,
So
what's going on?
my most celebrity moment taking a picture was I was working the corner for a boxing match, kickboxing, and people came up to me and they said, "Can I take a picture with you?" I go, "I didn't fight." I go, "No, I know you work the corner. You look like a really tough guy. Can we take pictures with you?" As a corner guy, they took the picture. Not and then
Plus
and it went
the
back.
great accent, and it's like, come on, you're my bum rocket. It's like, oh,
Oh yeah,
you're the guy. Yeah,
you got it. You
yeah.
got to see Adam when he when we go to something and he wears a sport jacket and like a little flag pin. He looks like a detective, totally.
I was like, or like maybe like a mobster who's gonna collect money from you. Hey man, you owe some money here. You're like, I'm sorry, here's my money. My fault,
I
sir.
went back to the fighter. I go, "These guys just stopped me when I went to the bathroom to take pictures with them on the backdrop." He goes, "Not one person has to take a picture of me." I go, "What can I tell you?"
This guy just put himself on the line. He's all bleeding out of one eye. It's like no one cares. He's like, no, this. I was out there. I
Well,
was yelling at you. They're like, this guy's a tough corner, dude. You gotta take a picture.
well, that's
Fair
Adam's
enough.
thing too. Security, EMT, locksmith, and corner man. You've done
Ah,
everything.
yeah,
Renaissance
I've done
man.
everything. That's right. You are an EMT. I forgot about that. Attaboy. It's one of those things you need one around whenever there's a fight going on. I always say that. It's like whenever you're at
Yeah.
an amateur fight or a smoker or something like that, like one of these corner guys is EMT. Watch. There he is. It's like he's
Well,
the dude.
it's funny. I did a pay-per-view for a New Jersey fight, and I was working the corner, and then I played back what the announcers were doing. He goes, "What is this guy doing? He's not even putting ice." And I'm like, "Wow." On regular TV, this guy's second guessing me what I'm doing. Pay-per-view.
Wow. Nice.
That's hilarious. These television guys are.
Yeah. Actually, Adam, come to think of it, when you did that boxing match with Sal, I think you were the only EMT in the facility, and
Oh
possibly the
yeah.
one most likely to need an EMT.
Well,
But
I guess that's true. I guess the good news is that in my gym, I'm told there's surgical assistants, nurses. There is actually an EMT, but there
oh,
weren't
there is.
that.
Oh, all right, that's good to know.
But there's some medical workers, and there's actually some people that also give therapy. I could probably use that too.
Sounds right. But yeah, like I said, there has to be at least one of you guys at every amateur fight, every semi-pro fight,
I
every
worked for amateur
pro fight.
fights as an
Yeah, it
EMT.
has to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
there has to be one of you guys there. Like I'll say, sometimes like you'll have a smoker, you have an amateur fight, and they don't really have a license. They don't really have. So you say, hey, is there anyone who has medical on? Okay, cool. Like before
Well,
you're like, yeah,
I've worked fights as an EMT, and I've also worked for some of those electronic music festivals.
oh,
And the first thing some of these people say to you, the doctors, and I want to be very careful what I say here, is just realize if you leave the venue, we have to stop everything till you return.
yeah.
Really.
Sure, you're the only emergency guy. You're the responder. You know.
Does
Like
that include the men's room, or is that cool?
Well, you can't
all
go to
operations.
Stop
you're
the
not,
show. I
you
gotta
can't go to
gotta
you
take
can't
a
go to the
leak.
men's room in the middle of a fight.
Not a fight, but you said a concert or something.
No, so if there is not enough resources as required to operate the event,
Right.
well, first of all, when we work in these big concerts, like these big electronic music festivals, they're usually in open areas, and
Right.
there's medical tents all over the place. So there's always somebody backing me up. But
Right.
if we had to transport a ridiculous amount of people, because let's say something happened where a lot of people got sick. Let's say something stupid. Somebody had fentanyl, and a lot of people took fentanyl for some strange reason, which has never happened.
Yeah.
And the resources are depleted. That becomes an MCI or multiple casualty incident, and everything stops.
Well, yeah, that's an emergency. I mean,
But
That's emergent. Yeah.
but the definition of an incident or an MCI, a multiple casualty incident, if there's only one resource and there's three resources are needed, that's an MCI. So when the amount of resources don't match the incident, then everything shuts down until you get more.
okay. Then, but who declares that then? Is it
The
you as
the,
the
the, the
EMT,
person the doctor or the person who's considered the what do they call it, the medical control. That's how it
Okay.
works in New York City. New York City.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
wait. So if you're the EMT and something happens, whatever, and say even if it's like I don't know, two people trip or bump into each other or whatever, and you got to treat these two people, and you're like, I got my hands full. Do you say you got to stop the show? I can't take anymore.
I don't know how it works with this show, but I'll tell you this. As an EMT who worked in a 911 system, I was transporting somebody who had a serious injury, a life-threatening injury. And as I was transporting with lights and sirens, I was flagged down by police. And the police said, you got to stop. I go, I have a life-threatening injury. They go, somebody has a life-threatening injury, needs support now. So I'm like, I radio back in to telemetry or and said, listen, I'm being flagged down. I'm giving a lawful order to stop. Go take a look really quick. Do not stay, and tell them another resource is on the way. So what I'm getting at is if two people are dying and you have to do triage, you have to triage the higher level. But if you're already providing care to somebody and you stop providing care, that's called negligence or malfeasance. Right. So the point, it gets to be very difficult. So can you imagine you're transporting somebody who might be dying, and police stop you and say, let's say it's an officer, and they want you to treat the officer, and you don't do it. That becomes a very serious issue. It's almost like when you watch, what's it called, the movie with the submarine. What's the name of that? Where you were both right and you were both wrong. What's the name of that movie again?
Was that with Denzel Washington?
Yeah. So my point I'm making is, you're given a lawful order. You're supposed to follow lawful orders, but your duties as an EMT or a medical professional supersede lawful orders. Yeah. It gets to be very, like, I've been in places where I park my ambulance to handle a patient, and the cop's like, you got to move it. I'm like, no, I don't. And that's when sometimes people get arrested because they don't follow the lawful order. But then that cop has to assume responsibility for the patient.
Right.
There's crazy things like that. So you got to figure out what's right and what's wrong. You should always escalate or elevate your issue to a superior.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that as being really tough because, like, having known a lot of doctors and grown up around that stuff, you say lawful order. I mean, doctors will often, I don't know how it is with EMTs, but doctors will often say, hey, you talk about triage. I tell you who needs help and who gets it first. That's my decision, not yours.
I was once providing patient care, and a doctor came up to me and says, I don't like the way you're doing that. I said, I'm following orders. I go, however, if you were assuming control over the patient, or then you need to provide me with your license so I can document. I'm not giving you that. Get away.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you said it. I mean, it probably wasn't the reason you went out of that type of work, but I think it's the toughest part, right? Like
I'm still an EMT. I'll still do it.
Yeah. Not for a living. You're not.
No, but I always did EMT as a side thing. I never did it as a primary.
Oh, got you. It was always just do the right thing. Attaboy. Yeah, tip of a hat then.
No, I like working in the 911 system. I feel bad for all my friends who are EMTs and paramedics who have a hard way. They don't make the living that they should be making. And they work 2-3 jobs in order to provide for their families. They love what they do. They enjoy what they do, most of them. And it's nobody ever, it's kind of like what we do for a living as cybersecurity. No one ever says, oh my God, we have an incident, I'm glad you're here. They're like, man, shit went to, someone shit
worst,
in bed.
Worst day of their lives,
Worst day of their lives. No one's, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you because you're going to save my... And then sometimes you have to give people the news. Unfortunately, someone has passed.
Right.
And I had one difficult situation where I told somebody that their brother passed. And he was literally arguing with me for like 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You got to do something. I'm like, sir, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah. I did everything I could,
and I did something I'm not happy with. I said something which I'm not going to say. And it made me upset. But the guy was in such shock. And the guy snapped out of it and he started crying. He wasn't mad at me.
No.
But I brought him to reality. And it was one of the most difficult times, I think, because not only that, after he started crying, there were 2 dogs in the house. And I went and fed the dogs. And as the detectives walk in, because they thought it might have been a homicide, they said, what are you doing? I go, the dogs got to eat too. And I'm allergic to dogs.
Yeah.
But there were another living creature that needed to be fed. They weren't fed in 3 days.
Oh,
That's
wow.
real
I
life.
think 3 days.
Wow.
I think 3 days. I don't know for 100%.
But what they were guessing at that point was probably 3
Yeah.
days. Yeah.
So I'm feeding the
That's
dogs.
real life. Yeah.
And the detectives walk in and people walk in, what are you doing? And I guess it's a way of contaminating the crime scene, and I'm sorry I did that. But at the same time, I felt a responsibility as a human being to take care of another living creature.
Oh yeah,
Gotta do
they were
that.
hungry.
And I'll tell you something. Until I knew Adam was really the first person I've known well who's an EMT. It is. I was surprised and frankly appalled that it's not only a tough job, they don't make a lot of money at all, especially in the city. They're really, really underpaid. They struggling. They should not have to struggle to make ends meet. That's really tough.
Yeah. Well, having an extremely stressful, demanding job, where it's not just demanding; it's demanding of you because, like I said, Adam, you're a part of that. You're a human trying to help humans out. So it doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if you're on your 3rd shift. It doesn't matter. You still have to respond. You still have to help people out. You still have to make it good. So it's it's real life, man. It's real life.
And I don't want to take away from all my friends who are professional EMTs. And when I say professional, it's what they do for a living.
Oh, yeah.
So I never had to really deal with that level of hardship of earning a living. I've had my problems when I first started becoming an EMT. I did another job too, and I did that actually to live. But my friends who do it as an everyday job, I applaud them. I love them, and I think they're some of the best people in the world, especially working in the New York City 911 system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as serious as it gets, right? And it's like I said, it's good that you're doing those things. I always say that someone who could sacrifice their time, because you don't got to do those things, Adam. You don't have to sacrifice your time. That way you can do. And I see that. That's a tip of the hat, my friend. It's a tip of the hat.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it now. I'm still an EMT, but I feel very. I want to make it clear that this is not what I'm doing for a living, and I don't want to take away from all my friends who are doing it because I'm like, oh, Adam's not an EMT right now. I'm not doing it for a living. They are.
Yeah.
And I try my best to.
You don't want to be a studio gangster in this. So you're not studio AMT.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I pay into the GoFundMes for my friends I've seen that have had issues, and I love them.
Yeah. But like I said, man, it's a tip of the cap. So go ahead.
All right, so we somehow got to a really heavy note.
We did,
but
luckily we did it deep in there, man. We got there all together.
That's right.
And if you watch the podcast this far and listen this far, good on you, man. Good on you. Deep into the podcast. Even I can only sometimes get 45 minutes in. So if you've been listening to me, 70 minutes. Thank you. Wow, that's a long time to listen to me, as well as Joe and Adam. Easier to listen to them, but I'm not a radio guy.
No, thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for listening. Oh, the other thing too, we're learning as we go along is, we got to remember to plug ourselves. So hopefully for those who are still listening, which hopefully is everyone, please, if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the notifications, follow us on Spotify or wherever else. Apparently that stuff is important, and we are trying to grow the show and get
Yeah.
the word out there with the help of great promoters like Monty, of course, is going to triple our audience here with this show.
Triple it easily. Add us all
Or our
on
money
LinkedIn.
back. Or our money
Oh,
back.
that's right.
Or your money back. That's right.
Or money back.
Listen, I'm going to be well worth what you've paid me. Well worth what you've paid me.
Right. No, but Monty, thanks a lot for coming on. This is last call, I guess.
That's right. Our last call. I like that. That's what you're going to call the final segment. It was like, we got
That's what
last
we
call,
do.
Monty.
Last call.
You got anything to plug? And then I plug something.
That's right. It's like Howard Stern. You got any plugs? That's it.
Hey guys, if you want to add me, Monte Fabiani on LinkedIn, or as well you can email me at montell@gmail. If you want to know anything about cybersecurity, go ahead, reach out.
All right.
Okay?
Great.
Yeah.
Monty, thanks again for joining. Adam?
Thanks for hanging out, guys. This is all a trick so I can hang out and have drinks with you guys. So thank you. Good kicking it. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Take care.